Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziol.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Joining me today is Steven Shortino of iSmash. Thank you for being on the show, Steven.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. I'm excited to talk about all things iSmash here.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cool episode, smashing episode. There's the first pun of the episode. So, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself and your business, just to kind of get us started, a little intro?
Yeah, sure. So I'm 26 years old, born and raised here in Rochester, and I started this company called iSmash back in 2018. For those of you that don't know exactly what this is, iSmash is basically a room where you go and break things for fun or stress relief. You get baseball bats, crowbars, sledgehammers. You get to go in a enclosed room with a bunch of household breakables, glassware, electronics, and you just get to go to town on them. Like I said, you can do it for fun or for stress relief. Along with the smash rooms, we also offer axe throwing and paint splatter, black light paint splatter, where you get a canvas that you can paint inside of a room. You can also paint each other, make a huge mess if you'd like. So, yeah, I mean, I started this back in 2018. We opened in Henrietta, and it's been going exceptionally well. There's been a lot of things going on with the business since then. We've been expanding, franchising, bunch of exciting stuff that I'm sure we'll get into here.
That's awesome. So Henrietta, New York, for those that aren't in New York, is where he kind of started out. But where did this whole concept come up? Idea come from?
So it came to the US in, I believe, 2008. And then prior to that, it was Japan where was the original um, place that it started. I think somebody had actually set up like a small booth in the middle of a work complex, and he would literally just offer like people to throw 10 plates at a wall for like $5, and a bunch of people would come on their lunch breaks. And somebody saw it that was in the US and was like, man, that might be a good business idea for over here. And then the lady opened one here. It started to get attention, started to get successful. More and more started to open. I actually first saw this in New York City. Somebody had shown me a video on Facebook, and they were like, "Oh, look at this! This place literally just you pay money to go break things, and it's." And I was like, "Wow, like that's crazy! Like people are actually making money off that." So I saw the idea. I was like, it got me thinking. Did some research. I was like, it's like, wow, like there's actually like, like 30 or 40 of these around. Like maybe people are making money with this. So that's kind of what prompted me to want to get involved.
Oh, well, that's so cool. And so part of the show is kind of talking about like, challenges and unexpected things that have happened along the way, like when starting a business or starting something that is terrific. So like what are some of your biggest challenges with trying to get this business going out in Rochester?
Yeah, I think definitely just being young and not having any experience was definitely quite a hurdle. I really had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. I kind of figured it out along the way. In terms of the actual business, definitely trying to get supplies because you constantly need supply of glassware and electronics for customers to break. And to try and find that was probably one of the biggest challenges. We had initially just tried going around to garage sales and even like dumpster diving on the side of the road to see what people were throwing out. A lot of people were throwing out electronics, TVs, whatever. And then we kind of quickly realized that that was not going to be viable. So
Yeah.
I would certainly say, finding a space where a landlord would allow this use and finding the supply of smashables was exceptionally challenging.
Yeah. So what was maybe an unexpected thing that like went really, really well and you just weren't, anticipating, hey, this just happened and anything there?
Yeah, I think the space that I did end up running, it was it actually ended up being like almost perfect for what I was trying to do. Really minimized opening costs and the build out worked super well inside of this space. I would also say the overall like public reception and the amount of people that I had gotten in there initially was greater than I thought. So that was obviously a very good thing to for business to be better than anticipated.
Well, very cool. I mean, did you have to renovate? Did you have to have people come in and smash some walls or anything like that?
They had actually just built some walls. We didn't have to smash anything down.
Did you have to build anything up to protect those walls?
So we just lined the insides of the rooms with plywood. We put plywood on the ceilings as well. So it's the whole room is basically like a juggernaut. Concrete floors, 3/4 inch plywoods on the walls. There's actually like a smash wall inside of the room that's
Okay.
coated in like steel plates that people can throw stuff at. I know it's very popular for people to hurdle glass items there, beer bottles, whatever.
So I would imagine the other part of the challenge is cleanup. So like how do you handle that? Like all the smashed items. What do you like recycle things? How does that work?
Yeah, we recycle basically everything that comes out of the smash rooms. That's probably one of the more common questions that I get asked is, wow, this must be such a hassle to clean up. But really, once you have the systems and processes down efficiently, I mean, you can turn around the average room in a couple minutes for the next group to be ready. I mean, it's really just a combination of bins and brooms and shovels, and you can get the job done fairly easily.
Well, very nice, very nice. So, okay, so I'm a potential customer, right? So, like, what do I expect getting there? Like, what do I need to do? Is there a reservation system? How does that part work?
Yeah, so we strongly encourage people to book online. We do take walk-ins just based on our availability, but on the weekends it's often tough because we're pretty booked up. So you'd book a session. If you booked online, you'd be able to choose your package. We have a bunch of different add-on options. You'd be able to select the number of people, all that stuff, and then you would arrive and we have a waiver that you have to fill out prior to going in for your session. After the waiver, we bring you into our little gear room, have you get suited up in whatever gear you're doing for that activity, and then it's some quick instruction with a video and some further staff guidance, and then you are pretty much free to go to do what you will within the boundaries of our rules. So I mean, it's a very simple process with little friction. I mean, it's literally you schedule, you pay, you fill out a waiver, you have fun, and you leave satisfied.
Very cool, very cool. I just got this mental image in my head when you were talking about the short video, like one of those training videos from like a restaurant or something like that. You come on and like, hi, I'm Steven Shortino, and I smash things. So, and this is how you go about it. But that's so cool. So you got protective equipment, I would imagine like, safety goggles or something like that, for certain things, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
so the protective equipment is safety goggles. And then there's a face shield that goes on top of that pretty much covers the entire front part of your face. And then there's a bodysuit, one of those like heavier coverall, like full uniform suits. And then the gloves. And
Sure.
then we also require everyone to wear closed-toed shoes because
Yeah, that makes sense.
that sandals inside of a smash room where there's a bunch of broken glass and plastic and metal doesn't sound very safe.
Well, some of my friends are out because slides is all they wear, right? So, like, are there age restrictions and things like that? Because I know you're signing a waiver. So, like, what's your common like feelings on that, I guess, or policy?
Yeah, so we do allow minors under 18 to smash as young as 8 years old. they have to have that release signed by a parent or guardian. And actually, I mean, our like reach with the younger crowd has been fantastic. I mean, the kids just really enjoy coming here and just breaking a bunch of stuff, and parents equally so. I mean, they love bringing their kids somewhere that they can just make a gigantic mess that's not at their
Awesome.
house. And then the paint splatter is age 3, axe throwing is 13. The paint splatter I know has been very popular with the younger demographic as well.
Cool. Yeah, so I got a bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds for our hockey team that are coming up for a tournament up there. So maybe that's an activity we'll have to try to sign up for. They like to smash things on the ice, I'm sure, in a room with coveralls and safety equipment, and they'll go to town.
Yeah, right up their alley.
Um, can you talk to us a little bit about, like, group size, things like that? Do you get a lot of corporate kind of things? Like, what is your typical client, I guess?
So the most common number of people we get to come to Smash is 2. I'd probably say that's true for a lot of businesses. A lot of people just end up coming with a significant other, or one friend or one kid, whatever it may be. The maximum amount of people we can have inside of a Smash room at once is 15. We have like a real big party size room where there's enough space in there for 15 people to smash comfortably without it being dangerous. And we do get a lot of birthday parties. We offer birthday party packages that include activities for up to 15 people. And then, like you said, like the corporate event stuff has also been very popular. It seems to, I don't know what it is about it, but I think a lot of people that plan like the team outings really look for stress relief and team bonding as a big thing when they're looking for events. And that's something that I can confidently say that we offer is stress relief and
Right.
team bonding. I mean, who doesn't enjoy smashing stuff with their coworkers?
Yeah, I'm thinking about another movie that I saw where they go to town with the fax machine. I think it was, they like completely smash that. Um,
Office space,
yeah,
right?
yep, yeah. I just see slow motion camera technique and everything. So, oh, that's a good question too. Do you ever have people like come in and like try to, like, video everything that's going on? Is that allowed?
Yeah, that people can take whatever kind of videos and photos they want with their phone. We do have like HD cameras inside of the rooms that
Sure.
record people's entire session. They can actually purchase their video afterwards to have for however long they want.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. What's can you share maybe like a crazy story, something happened unexpected, um, you know, that, in the smash room or with a customer or anything like that?
I mean, honestly, I get this question asked a lot, and there's really not as many crazy stories than you might have think. I mean, things are fairly tame for the most part. I mean, we've had groups do some absolutely massive sessions where you can't even see the like a single speck of concrete in the room because it's all just lined with smashed up stuff. Um, I probably say one of the more notable things is we do have some like weekly smashers that have like their smash membership that come like every single week like religiously, and they're always there smashing stuff. So I would say that's been fairly notable. But I mean, in terms of like crazy stories, I mean, there really hasn't been like a whole lot, to be honest. I mean, most people just come and smash stuff and leave. I mean, when people ask crazy stories, I feel like a lot of the time they're implying, have there been any injuries? And I mean, there really hasn't. I mean, the amount of injuries that have required more than like a band-aid, I could probably count on like one hand.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
I could
unfortunate.
imagine that, like, you're going in there for an outlet, so you're getting that like expected kind of, not rage, but like, you're getting that. That's what you're going there for. Um, you mentioned your rage, is it rage card or smash card? What did I just come up? But yeah, what's the benefit of that? How does that work?
Yeah, so that is the Smash membership. So it's a one-time fee of $250, and you can come once a week and do a starter Smash package, which would regularly be $25. You also get half off all of the other packages and add-ons. So I mean, if you come, 10 times out of 52 weeks, I mean, you get your money's worth out of it, and that's not even factoring in if you purchase any add-ons. So we have quite a few members, and some of them do utilize the services weekly, which is fantastic.
That's so cool. Here comes Jimmy. Whatever he's gonna pick today. That's great. I guess, when going back to that question, I was thinking maybe an unexpected thing was like you have this nice little old lady or an old man coming up and you're like, what is he doing here? And then he comes in and really goes to town. And you're like, holy moly, did not know that guy had that in him. But I'm sure there's no nothing boring going on at your job each day. So do you
Yeah,
absolutely love what you do?
yeah, I would say so. I'm happy that I've chosen a business where people are generally happy when they come in. It's not something where people are upset all the time. Like I know that's a complaint a lot of like restaurant workers have is people being like nasty and in a bad mood. But I mean, here it's just all about having fun. I mean, nothing serious. I mean, people are coming here looking to have a good time with friends and people they like, or they're coming here to relieve stress. And just being in that kind of setting where people are just in a in an upbeat mood has has been has been pretty great. And just like like you said, it's something different all the time. It's not really work that gets all that redundant. So it's definitely been an enjoyable experience for me.
Very, very cool. So, and then if not, you'd be like, oh, sounds like Steven needs to go to the Smash room.
I have used
Employee
this.
night.
I have used the services quite a few times myself. I will admit.
After getting a very frustrating phone call from Nick, I'm gonna go to the Smash room. Um, that's cool though. I mean, yeah, and what's not to love? Being able to take out that energy. I mean, we've all been there, right? We've all had those moments where we just want to like have an outlet, and it's terrific that you provide that, and that there's that opportunity to kind of come in and kind of share that moment, like with a significant other, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Some of the things that are going on in relationships, there's a lot of friction and stuff, and you tend to take it out on each other, and to do something where you could actually expose of all that energy together again, it's really cool, and it sounds like rewarding for you and your employees to kind of see.
Yeah. I think it's cool that there's kind of like two sides to it. There's the side where people are coming to have fun, and then there's the side of people coming that actually want and need the service for stress relief. I mean, it's even gone as far as therapists and mental health professionals recommending and sending their clients to us and saying, hey, today you're gonna go and break some stuff and let out all that pent up anger that you got. So that's really been something that I've liked to see is this actually helping people who are going through a tough time, whether it be like a loss of a loved one or like a relationship, a divorce, whatever it may be.
Sure. No, it's a good service. And another question that popped in my head was, can you bring your own stuff to Smash? Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can. We do have a bring your own box package. We really don't get people doing that all that often though. People tend to just want to come here and break our stuff. It, I think it's a little bit too much of a hassle for them
Sure.
to want to like clean out their basement or what
Or
have you.
whatever. They smash it
Yeah.
there. Or, this is my boyfriend's car. I'm really mad at him. We're gonna just drive it right in and we're gonna smash it.
You mentioned a car. We actually do car smashes during
Oh,
the
cool.
warm weather. That seems to have grown in popularity recently.
So you mentioned earlier about like one of the challenges was acquiring the stuff. How do you acquire things like cars and whatnot to smash? If you don't mind giving away trade secrets.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure that some of these organizations wouldn't mind the publicity. So I know one of the big ones is electronics. We were sourcing that just through like, estate sales and whatever in the beginning, but
Sure.
we started working with an electronic recycler. So the way that it works is they will send us unsmashed stuff in bins, and then people will smash the stuff, and then they'll actually take the stuff back and recycle all of it and just swap it out for more new stuff.
Yeah.
So working with them has been fantastic. It's a company called Sun King. They're one of the biggest
Yeah. Heard
electronic
of them.
recyclers on the Northeast coast, and I was fortunate enough to have them in my backyard in Rochester, New York. So that was
Very
very
cool.
convenient. The glassware we work with thrift stores in the area, and that is also a mutually beneficial arrangement because unfortunately they do have to dumpster a lot of the glassware. They just get so much of
Oh
it.
yeah.
They aren't even able to sell everything that they get in their stores. And then another thing that we do that's pretty big are car windshields. We work with a couple windshield repair companies to get the windshields after they're replaced and they're all cracked and damaged.
Oh,
And
safety.
then the cars. I mean, we're just working with a junkyard. I mean, cars that are already totaled, slated for, I mean, getting crushed or whatever their fate may be. I mean, we just smash them up and give them right back.
Is there ever any kind of bins or something like that? Like this thing is so cool, I don't want to let them smash it.
Yeah, I mean, we found quite a few of those items, just with all the thousands of pieces of electronics and glassware that come through. I mean, you're bound to find things that pique your interest. I mean, finding like old gaming consoles, I know that's like very nostalgic with me, and
Sure.
finding like very like intricate and cool pieces of glassware and pottery that we would keep, and staff brings stuff home. We keep stuff to display in the store that we
Very
find
nice.
visually pleasing.
So cool. So, you made me think of my childhood too, because my dad's a truck driver. He hauls scrap metal. So he recycles, basically, they recycle the metal and stuff. But they would go to like Grumman and like, some of these big companies that made airplanes and things like that too. So they would be taking like sometimes whole cockpits, right? I mean, usually stripped of most of their important technology and stuff like that. But I mean, just thinking about some of those agencies that you were talking about where you get your stuff, I remember my dad every now and then would bring home something really, really cool, be like, this was in a fighter jet and stuff like that. So he always wanted to bring one home to have in the backyard so the kids could play. So, but it just never got to that point and probably wasn't allowed. So, um, but yeah, I think that that's really cool, to be able to kind of access to some of these things. And like you said, there's some nostalgia with, video game consoles, and I'm sure you get to see a lot of really cool things that people discard or need to be recycled.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is just realizing the sheer volume of electronics that people get rid of on a daily basis. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever went to that Sun King warehouse, I mean, it is just filled with consumer electronics that people don't need anymore. I mean, it is
Yeah.
just absolutely even with the glassware, it is insane how much of this stuff is just constantly, getting disposed of that people don't need anymore. I mean, that was
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest things that I had realized after starting this business.
Yeah, you probably become a little bit more of an environmentalist, and sustainability it becomes more important when you see places like that, or how much is discarded that could be kind of reused, recycled, and things like that. So I'm glad that you have like this program that you're kind of working with some of these partners in, first of all, like smashing old things and then kind of getting them maybe hopefully made into new things. It's good for the environment too. So iSmash, good for the environment as well. So you got a lot of things going for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I think just finding an additional use for anything that's deemed, quote unquote worthless is always going to be a plus in any kind of business, and providing that additional revenue to like a charitable organization like Goodwill or Salvation
sure.
Army. I mean, that's something that we obviously have no problem with.
Yeah. I mean, and coming from like, I have friends that make things out of smashed things too. Like when you think about like the art that could come out of some of these things,
Yeah.
smashed tile work rebuilt and stuff like that. And that's, do you have any local artists trying to take stuff?
We actually have had a couple inquiries about that. Now that you mention it, I do recall that a couple times people have wanted to take Smash stuff home, um, and some of them did mention art. So I guess I have a better idea of what exactly they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can take like anything and kind of make it into art these days. So, but there's some really great pieces. And when I was working at RAT, there were people that made jewelry out of the electronic boards from these things. And I have like a nice tie tack that's like this, like just a microchip essentially. Um, but it's amazing what people can make out of that stuff. So yeah, another line of revenue for you. Sure, you can take it home for blah, 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 blah. No. Well, speaking of that, like in the future and stuff like that, what you mentioned earlier about like franchising stuff, like where do you see this business going? What are your hopes and dreams for the future for iSmash?
Yeah, so like I said, we started off with the original store in Rochester. It started to gain a lot of traction. I was actually getting a lot of requests from other owners and people that wanted to start rage rooms. They wanted advice and counseling, whatever.
Mhm.
And COVID happened in 2020. That was a big blow for us because we were doing like the most amount in sales we'd ever done, and
Yeah.
then we all of a sudden had to close. And then I kind of took that opportunity and said to myself, well, if there's this many people that want to know how to do this, I should write a course. So I wrote this big long course on how to start a rage room. I released it online shortly after a lot of the COVID closings ended. We reopened up the Rochester store, and we were actually very busy after COVID. We
I
were
can
able to open
imagine.
after COVID, like much busier than I had thought. And the business started to just do so well. I was like, man, if I had two of these, I'd be making a killing. So I started looking into opening in Syracuse in early 2021, and I did end up opening a second store there in May of that year. So that was a big accomplishment. And then it was around that time too that I got approached by a couple investors who were looking to franchise this concept. They actually found me through my online course.
Oh,
So
nice.
we were in talks for a while, and then eventually we linked up, we partnered with them, and we franchised this thing. And then earlier this year we sold our first franchise in Tampa, Florida, and
Oh,
we
cool.
we we have another deal that we're probably going to close in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean it's been very exciting to expand the footprint of this company, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
That's so cool. I'm so excited for you and the future. I mean, it's such a simple concept, and I'm glad that you've been able to kind of capitalize on it and make a life out of it for yourself. That's amazing. Um, so I was going to ask that question about like how did COVID affect you, and you kind of already kind of answered that. But was there anything else that you kind of were working on, maybe that brought in unexpected results during COVID or post COVID?
Yeah, I mean, COVID was definitely tough because I just, like the uncertainty of not knowing when you were able to reopen.
Hmm.
There wasn't really any like word exactly when these lockdowns were going to be lifted. I didn't know if it was going to be 6 months. I didn't know if it was going to be a year. I didn't know if the business was going to go under. I mean, I actually took a huge gamble. I took almost all the cash in the bank account at the time and invested it into redoing the store and making like a ton of upgrades
Sure.
when we were closed. This was after we already knew that we were going to be able to reopen, but yeah, I mean that was a pretty monumental risk. And I think just with some of the added like capacity restrictions that they had set and enhanced cleaning was definitely tough and was a little bit to adapt to in the beginning, but we ended up doing just fine.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad you took that risk, and it is rewarding. Sometimes you just got it, right? You got to try it
Yeah.
and, take that risk. And I'm glad it's working out for you. So now that's part of that episode that I warned you about, like that question, is there anything that I haven't mentioned, or that you haven't mentioned, or haven't asked, that you'd like to share? While you're thinking about that, I have a couple other questions that I'd love to ask you. So maybe I'll start out with something easy, like, what's your favorite movie?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in terms of what you haven't asked me, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess maybe just, why why do you think that you were more successful than other owners? Because I mean,
sure.
the people that invested in starting the franchise company basically selected this rage room out of a pool of like, a couple hundred,
Hmm.
because they saw a difference and this one was standing out. So, I don't know if you want me to just answer that myself, since I'd kind of
Yeah,
asked the question.
sure. Go ahead.
So, I mean, a lot of the other owners around the country were a little bit older, and they were kind of doing this part time, where I jumped into this head first, and had it, it was my full-time job since day one. And I basically spent every waking hour of every day just trying to optimize everything and figure out this business. And since it was so new, it's not like somebody had like a 5-year head start on me. I was really able to emerge as a front runner in the space, and was getting a lot of attention from others around the country. And I mean, it was really just a combination of putting in a lot of time, trial and error, and just not giving up. There were definitely some dark times in the first year or so financially, where I thought the business wasn't going to make it.
Hmm.
But I stuck with it, and I think that that's probably one of the most important parts about starting and running a company, is just sticking with it long enough to kind of get that big break.
Yeah. No, I mean, what is that statistic that like 90% of businesses fail in the first couple years or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're definitely not one of them, and that you're thriving. I think also, like, if I can just interject my opinion on what you were talking about, I think also being willing to like write a course for others to say, this is the business and how I did it and how you can do it, put you apart from some of the others, because not a lot of people would do that, right? And maybe,
Yeah.
and you said that was part of the reason I think you got noticed too by these investors. So I think that kudos to you to be willing to do that. Because honestly, I strongly believe that part of the reason I do this show is I want to share what other people are doing, and hopefully people from the show will then try to do things on their own, right? Maybe not iSmash, but like they'll be encouraged to kind of take up and do something for the community, or do something for themselves, right? So
Yeah.
I think people that are willing to share their great ideas don't really risk much, because um, if they're determined to be a success, they will, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I would definitely agree with that. I think that you really made a great point about just, you never know where something is going to take you. If I didn't start and release that course, I might not have ever franchised, and I'd be in a completely different scenario right now. So I think that that is just a fantastic point, is to just get out there and get involved and do great things. I mean, that's really, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, humans are put here to pass on their knowledge and further our understanding of things.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad you're sharing here, and I'm glad you shared before, and that things are going really well. But I would love the listeners get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. So I would like to ask, a couple of those questions too. Like, what's your favorite movie?
I'd have to say the Rocky series has always been a movie or a set of movies that have stuck with me. My father showed it to me when I was very young, and I kept interest into it into my older years, into my 20s, just from the motivation standpoint. I think that it's a great story what Rocky had. I'm not sure if you've seen them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's just a
definitely grew up with
great
Rocky.
story.
It's related to smashing things too, which is some irony in what you do now, right?
Yeah, right.
So, very cool. Let me see. So, what do you think is the let me ask this better here. Who would be your role model?
I've definitely had, I've switched a lot throughout the years. I definitely follow quite a few like business visionaries. I like a guy named Grant Cardone. I've read a lot of his, read and listened to a lot of his stuff. There's a guy named David Goggins that
Mhm.
I've followed and liked quite a bit. Um, I really do like following Elon Musk. I've read his book. I read a lot of stuff about him, but I feel like that's a very cliche answer. So I didn't
That's okay.
I didn't really necessarily want to answer that. But yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of different business books from a lot of different people that have inspired me. But I think those are really like some of the biggest ones.
Well, great, great. And then maybe I'll just end it with, you know, is there any kind of piece of advice that you would give other business people, that maybe you live by, or just something that's really helped you along the way?
I mean, I would say, especially for younger people that are listening, I started the journey of opening my business when I was 21. So I was very young. I mean, I would say, just go for it. I mean, life is short and you might regret not taking those risks when you're older. I think that if you have an opportunity, just believe in yourself and jump into it. You know, I think that the feeling of regret is going to be worse than the feeling of possibly failing and not getting the outcome that you wanted.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice, Stephen. I mean, and speaking kind of on from sort of the other side of that spectrum, as you get older, you have more responsibilities, you have more things that might get in the way. So trying those things when you're younger and not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to put all of your business's money into remodeling and renovation and hoping that that's going to work out is just sometimes worth the risk, right? And I think you're a great example of that. So
Yeah, I think a lot of younger people that I talk to that, they say they want to get in entrepreneurship, but then they're always like, well, I don't have this and I don't know that. And it's like, you can trust me, you can figure it out along the way. I mean, with enough effort and enough time put into something, I'm a firm believer that you can really accomplish anything.
well, thank you so much, Stephen. I totally agree with you, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.